this topic is also important this year, communalism, right? Communalism, a threat to national integration. Despite modernity, modernization, right? In every aspect of society, we see, modernity and modernization, right? Economy, polity, education, administration, in every aspect of, society, we find modernity, modernization, but still primordial mobilizations like communalism and the problem of communalism is still, a challenge in Indian society, and particularly communalization, communalism and communalization, right? अब तो electricity has been also been communalized, right? जो neutral चीजें हैं वो भी अब communalize हो रही हैं, right? In our society, तो इसलिए ये important हो जाता है. This is मतलब okay, so we will discuss communalism, right? Look, for a society which is characterized by diversity, right? Diversity, pluralism, right? In such societies, communalism is one of the biggest threat, because communalism in such societies has disintegrative effects. एक समझिए इस पॉइंट को. In our society, communalism is one of the biggest threat. The salient feature of Indian society is unity in diversity. Unity in diversity, isn't it? And this diversity is characterized by disparities also, isn't it? If diversity is challenged by communal mobilization, right, so the very existence of Indian society is threatened. Getting a point or not? इसलिए हमारे society में this is one of the challenges. We cannot refer to Middle East societies or European societies. There are many societies characterized by similarity in composition of the society. Society के composition में similarity है. People belonging to one ethnic group. ऐसे भी societies है जहाँ एक ethnic group के लोग हैं. There are people with, those who believe in one religion, not in plural religions like India. Indian society is characterized by plurality, right? Diversity, ethnic diversity, linguistic diversity, religious diversity, cultural diversity, regional diversity, geographical, climatic diversities. There are many bases of, and levels of diversity. इसलिए हमारे society में ये बहुत threat है, right? तो experimentation जो होता है ना politics में, right, and communalization of politics, right, ठीक है, for political milieu, but that hurts, that threatens the very existence of Indian society, that threatens national integration, right? आज जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में हो रहा है and all, right, you will find like in 14, right, the intolerance campaign, or like politicization of food habits, politicization of dress code, isn't it? Communalization of food habits, communalization of dress code, somewhere that threatened the people, right? The group, right? The religious group, right? The cultural groups that threatened, those communalizations threatened, because, and particularly like in northeastern states, in Kashmir, now through transport, communication facilities, through multiple modes of communication, technology, right? Social media, such communalizations, the communalization which took place in Dadri, UP, that reaches to those areas, northeastern states or Jammu and Kashmir, and that threatens people there, isn't it? Threatens people there in maintaining their, like, that threatens, their cultural identities, isn't it? Their religious identities. People have fear, isn't it? Have threat. And with that threat, communal assertions increases, right? Community assertions increases. And that manifests in different forms, right? Manifestation of that you will find in different forms, right? In northeastern states or in Punjab or in Jammu and Kashmir, different forms of manifestation, right? So it's a challenge. Communalism is a challenge, one of the biggest challenge in Indian society. It threatens, the very existence of Indian society, the very salient feature of Indian society, which is characterized by unity in diversity, right? Okay. Now theoretical उस पे आते हैं. Look, the word communalism comes from the word community, right? समझिएगा इस बात को. The word communalism comes from the word community, right? एंड कम्युनिटी का मतलब क्या होता है? व्हाट इज कम्युनिटी? हाउ कम्युनिटी इज डिफाइंड? Community refers to a group of people belonging to a territory with we feeling, right? Feeling of togetherness, common feelings, feeling of togetherness, isn't it? A community in this sense, is a word of positive connotation, isn't it? Community is a word of पॉजिटिव कॉनोटेशन. वी फीलिंग, टुगेदरनेस, ये सब क्या है? पॉजिटिव वर्ड है ना, राइट? कम्युनिटी इज द रूट वर्ड ऑफ कम्युनलिज्म, isn't it? And community refers to group of people with we feelings, similar sentiments, right? So it's word of positive connotation, isn't it? In fact, community feeling, right, in ancient societies protected people, isn't it? Right? Protected people together, right, protected themselves from the wild animals, right, from natural disasters, from natural calamities, isn't it? Right? So community feeling had been a means for continuity of human society, survival and continuity of human society. Community feeling, we feeling, group feeling, right, had been means for survival and continuity of human society, right? It's a word of positive connotation, right? Generally हम क्या समझते हैं? Community, communalism, word of negative connotation, isn't it? But community in its original usage, right? Community in its original usage, communalism in its original usage, right, referred as word of positive connotation. In its modern usage, communalism, right, communalism is referred as a term of negative connotation. Negative connotation. It has acquired negative connotation in its modern usage. Right. Right. In its modern usage, communalism refers to, लिख लीजिएगा इसको क्योंकि बुक्स में नहीं मिलेगा आपको दिया हुआ. In its modern usage, in its conventional usage, word of positive connotation. In its modern usage, right, communalism refers to the tendency. In its modern usage, communalism refers to the tendency of socio-religious groups, tendency of socio-religious groups of sectarian exploitation of social religious traditions, as a medium of political mobilization, to promote the political, social, cultural, religious interest of one community even at the expense or against the interests of other community. Even at the cost of or against the interests of other community, right? Look, we explained, ये हो गया, like ये समझ में आया. In its modern usage, it's a means of sectarian exploitation, isn't it, for promotion of religious, social, economic, political, cultural interests of one community even at the cost of other community, isn't it? And this involves political mobilization. It's a medium for political mobilization. आप modern society में देख भी लीजिए, modern society में, right, a means or medium for political mobilization, isn't it? Political parties has used it as a means for political mobilization. Okay. Or divide and rule policy of the Britishers, right? Britishers mobilized politically one community at the cost of others at different times, isn't it? Getting a point? For sectarian exploitation, isn't it? Okay. Look, we explain or we understand communalism as an ideology or as a social phenomena, right? As an ideology, what we have described, that as an ideology, it refers to the interests, social, economic, political, cultural interests of one community, right, is different from and maybe in antagonism of or antagonistic to other communities. Social, economic, political, cultural interests of one community are similar, right? There are similarity in social, economic, political, cultural aspects of the community, isn't it? And those interests are antagonistic to other communities as an ideology, although there are differences within the community, right, in social, economic, cultural, political aspects. एक community में भी, जैसे Hindus, right? Hindu religion, Hindus, one community. Don't you think differences? Brahmins, Kshatriyas, right? Landlord Hindus, landless Hindus, even among Brahmins of Tamil Nadu, culturally, linguistically, socially, economically, different from that of Brahmins of UP or Brahmins of North. So there are differences now. But as an ideology, communalist, right? Communal organization, they promote, similarity, social, economic, political, cultural similarities, right? They glorify those similarities, right? And even sometimes, go against, social, economic, political, cultural interests of other communities while glorifying those similarities, right? Like, for example, Muslim community, Muslim religious community. Muslims of Kerala and Muslims of UP. Muslims of Kerala, dress code, right? Their food habits, preference for coconut oil. UP, mustard oil, right? Biryani of UP in mustard oil, because mustard is available. There are cultural differences, right? Food habits, differences, preferences. Dress code there. Language, Bhojpuri language. You will find, people are speaking Bhojpuri there, Malayali, right? You will be surprised to see, Sardars, Sikh community at Patna in that Gurudwara, one of Patna Sahib mein, Gurudwara mein, right? You will find them speaking, Bhojpuri. Sardar ji is speaking Bhojpuri. Like, linguistic differences are there, between Sikh or Punjabi, Sikh community belonging to Bihar or UP and Punjab, differences are there. Right. I was also surprised when I visited, Gurdwara Sahib there at Patna. So I found all, Sardarji is speaking, Maghi, not Bhojpuri, even Maghi, local Patna ka dialect, right? So why? Because there are intra-community differences also, linguistically, culturally, race, food, intra-community differences also, right? Lekin as an ideology, right, communalism refers that there are social, economic, political, cultural similarities, resemblances among people belonging to one community, one religious community, right? Right. And as a phenomena, as an ideology or as a phenomena, right? What we see in society, communal tensions and communal violences, communal conflicts as a phenomena. This ideology manifests in society as a phenomena in form of, not always, if in a society, communalism may function or may manifest in different form. Communalism may manifest in different form, right? Sometimes it manifests in violent form, right? In form of, communal conflict between two communities, right? Godhra writing or Muzaffarnagar writing, conflict between two communities, right? But it may not always manifest in form of communal violences. It may exist in form of communal tensions, the other lynching, isn't it? With communalization of food habit, communalization of dress code, right? Communalization of relationship, love, jihad, and all communalization. That is communalization of sentiment, relations, isn't it? May exist. Communal tension may exist. It may also manifest in different aspects of society in form of marginalization of the minority communities, right? For example, a national political party in recent election did not give ticket to a single member from minority community in UP, right? This is also manifestation of communalism, right? Manifestation of communalism, non-violent manifestation of communalism. या फिर not a single representation, right, from UP, a state with highest number of minority population in parliament, not a single representation, right? This is also kind of communal polarization during election. If there would not have been communal polarization during election, this was for the first time not a single member from Muslim minority community is represented in parliament from UP after independence. This is the result of communal polarization during elections, right? So these are also manifestations. My point is these are also manifestations of communalism. Communalism does not always refer to conflict, right? Violent conflict between Sikh community and Hindus, or between Muslims and Hindus. It's not always violent manifestation. It exists in non-violent forms also, or manifest in non-violent forms also, right? Such committee reports, if you refer, you will find he counts exclusion. He counts exclusion of the communities in different aspects of society, right? Government job participation, private sector participation, education, military, army, police, right? Nutrition. I mean, in every aspect. So that is also manifestation of communal tendencies in Indian politics. Getting a point? Or communalization of Indian politics, right? Administration, low representation in administration. So theoretically, what we say? Ki communalism as an ideology and communalism as a phenomena. These are manifestation of communalism as a phenomena in society. Getting a point, right? The manifestation of communalism you will see in ticket distribution, right? चाहे वो क्या है हैदराबाद में MIM का टिकट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन और BJP का टिकट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, right? Like communal manifestation you will find, right? Manifestation of communalism you will find, right, in ticket distribution by such political parties. Getting a point? Out of 403, they did not give a single ticket to minority community, right, or Muslim community. This is manifestation of communalism, right? You want to ask something? Yes.
Can we conclude that politics in India is communalism?
Can
we conclude that politics in India is communalism?
नहीं, अभी डिस्कस करते हैं. Like post independence, electoral politics has also caused in rise of communalism. We will discuss, right? We will not. That is only one cause. केवल एक cause है. Getting a point? We will discuss. अभी discuss करते हैं उसको. So हाँ.
Giving ticket to a minority member, the minority populated areas, that is also communalism.
Minority populated.
I mean, we only see political parties giving ticket to a minority member. Only in an area where the minority population is large in number.
A large number.
We don't see a Muslim candidate in a. Generally, we don't see the Hindu majority area. We see a Muslim candidate in a Muslim area only. That also leads to.
Yes, that is. Like look. Like if there are discrimination on part of political parties, right? And what we see is some political parties, discriminate isn't it? Discriminate against other community members. Getting your point, right? So that will be case of communalism, right? Yeah, political polarization in name of religion, political mobilization in name of religion, use of religion, isn't it, for counting on developments, right? ये काम हुआ तो ये एक religion के लिए हुआ, ये काम अरे, I mean, this is like a constitutional mandate is there, isn't it, for a special care of minorities, right? If a special care is being taken, then there is no right harm in that, because governments are directed to protect, promote, right, to facilitate in profession, propagation, right, administration of religion, isn't it? That is fundamental right, and a state is liable to right take care of those fundamental rights of the citizens, isn't it? So but what happens कि like अब election में use करना religion का, religious symbolism, use of religious symbolism, that is communalization of. Obviously we cannot use Supreme Court ka directives are there, but to prevent if somebody goes to Supreme Court again, since there are no such staunch law, isn't it? So Supreme Court just can pass advisories, isn't it? Getting a point or not? Okay. So theoretically you understood, right? What is communalism? Community, positive term of positive connotation. In modern usage, communalism has acquired negative connotation. Communalism, what is communalism? Communalism as an ideology and communalism as a phenomena. Communalism as an ideology and communalism as a phenomena, right? Now let us look before I start discussion over causes of communalism. Look, profession of religion or religiosity is not communalism. Profession of religion or religiosity is not communalism. In commonsensical explanation, we understand even profession of religion as communalism, isn't it? No, profession. If somebody is going temple twice a day, going for prayers, right, thrice a day, that is not communalism. Reading 5-time namaz is not communalism. That is only profession, practice of religion, profession of religion, isn't it? That is not communalism, right? Visits to holy places, religious places, that is not communalism. ये communalism नहीं है. Even superstition, right? बहुत सारा society में आप देखते होंगे ना, like superstitious beliefs, magic, charm, obscurantism, isn't it? Right, superstitious practices, that is also not communalism. That is social backwardness. वो social backwardness है. That is not communalism. Getting your point? When the community or religion is used for sectarian exploitation, right? जैसे use of religion, right, for political mobilization, to take political mileage by political parties, right? या फिर discrimination in name of religion in policy intervention, right? Program intervention by the governments, isn't it? Then that is example of communalism. वो example of communalism हो जाता है, right? Your mobilization of the people in name of religion for social mileage, economic mileage, political mileage, then that will become case of communalism, right? Practicing religion is not communalism. चाहे आप जैसे practice करना है आप करिए, right? You have all right to practice religion. That practice should not hurt sentiments of others, isn't it? Okay. Now causes or factors behind communalism. Causes or factors behind communalism. Right? There are a mix of social, political, economic, cultural and religious factors. Social, economic, political, cultural and religious factors. Mix of. We will understand on temporal scales the causality or the causes of communalism in Indian society. Right? The first we count colonial legacy. Colonial legacy. Okay. Look, colonial rulers or Britishers were interested in exploitation of Indian society for their own advantage and not its welfare, isn't it? After 1857, right, when their authority was threatened because of unity, right, of the communities. Communal divides or the policy of divide and rule, isn't it, became their core policy in every aspect of intervention, governmental intervention or state intervention. British state ka intervention, every aspect of intervention characterized by divide, some divide, or oriented towards creating divide, isn't it? So Britishers promoted the gulf and divide through different intervention right after 1857 to weaken, to threaten the unity among the communities, right? The unity which could have challenged British state in Indian society, right? So their intervention, for example, partition of Bengal, isn't it? Partition of Bengal, as well as annulment of participation, unification of Bengal, isn't it? Both created or increased communal divide, community divide in Indian society, right? Partition offended majority community and annulment offended minority communities, right? Matlab, gulf increased, isn't it? Divide and gulf increased between communities, right? From further interventions like separate electorate policies, right? Or separate electorate policy in year 1909, right? Right. Further strengthening of that electorate policy in Government of India Acts 1919, isn't it? Such interventions, created gulf, right? Further, British economic intervention, British mercantile policy, as well as their, revenue policies, land revenue policies, caused pauperization of minority communities, right? Minority communities. For example, before Britishers, right, karkhanas in urban areas, karkhanas, right? And karkhanas were owned by Muslims, majorly, Muslims, manufacturers. Muslims were, manufacturers, right? And Hindus majorly traders, right? Muslims manufacturer, Hindus traders, right? And British mercantile policy, आपने history में पढ़ा भी होगा, promoted, trade and commerce, isn't it? Of what? Of finished goods, right? जो finished products था, finished goods का, isn't it? Right? So कारखानास का destruction, right? And pauperization of the community, right? Pauperization, trade and commerce से तो benefit, but pauperization of the community, right? After British mercantile policy, land revenue policy, right? British ka education policy and all, means in every aspect through their intervention, they created gulf between minorities, isn't it? Look, one of the positive result of British intervention was rise of nationalism, common consciousness, isn't it? Common consciousness among the people belonging to different regions, different communities, rise of nationalism, right? And with rise of nationalism, nationalist interventions, nationalist, movement also started against Britishers, right? But those nationalist movements and particularly nationalist leaders, right, failed in, minimizing the gulf between communities. In fact, unconsciously, right? आपने पढ़ा होगा बिपिन चंद्रा का book, I guess, right? You would have referred Bipin Chandra's book, right? Unconsciously, nationalist leaders, right? Unconsciously, not manifestly, right? Unconsciously, right? Not intended, but unintended, right? They also increased communalism or, promoted communalism in Indian society unconsciously. मैं word use कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि लिखने में भी आप blame नहीं करते हैं उनको, unconsciously. For example, in over enthusiasm to mobilize the communities against Britishers, right? Use of religious symbolism, right? Cultural symbolism, right? By radical nationalist or militant nationalism, during militant nationalism, right? Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, isn't it? For example, Tilak's, usage of religious symbolism, Ganesh Mahotsav, isn't it? And such mobilization, isn't it? Use of like symbolism, Gangage, right? Bath in Gangage, right? yeah, festivities, Raksha Bandhan. I mean, such, like unconsciously, latently, created doubt among minds of people belonging to minority communities, isn't it? Right. So nationalist leaders, even many of the Gandhian usages, isn't it, had their roots in religion, isn't it? A particular religion, Gandhian usages, right? Usages during Gandhian movements. I don't say Gandhi was a communal, but usages unconsciously, right, increased the gulf, right, created doubt among minds of other believers, isn't it? People belonging to other religions, isn't it? So this is also like during British period, these were causes, right? In fact, other factor was in nationalist discourse, right? Nationalist, organization or parties, right? For example, Congress, Muslim League, right? There were class representation in such organization. ये भी बिपिन चंद्रा साहब मेंशन करते हैं कि there were class representation in these organization, Congress, Muslim League, right? In their interaction, like Congress interaction with Muslim League, the leaders, Muslim League leaders, they were considered as representative of the masses. They were not representative of the masses, but they were class representatives. They belong to elite class, isn't it? Jinnah belong to elite class, not the mass, right, of the community, right? Yeah, different leaders like Nehru, right? They belong to elite class, isn't it? Not to the mass, right? So the interaction during British period, right, at the level of leaders of nationalist organization, right, during national movement was more a class interaction, isn't it? Though gulf was not there much between the communities at ground level, isn't it, among the masses, क्योंकि local level पे क्या था, similarities, right? Local level पे like both Hindus and Muslims of UP or Bihar, similar economic condition, more or less similar economic condition. Both were exploited by land revenue policy of the British. ऐसा तो रहता कि Hindus were not exploited, Muslims were exploited, or Muslims were not exploited, Hindus were exploited. मतलब both were exploited by British intervention, isn't it? So at mass level, there was much, similarity, social, economic, political, but at class level, elites ka level pe, the similarities and differences were highlighted for political millage. Getting your point, right? So this was also a problem. This also caused increased, communal divide. Congress ka leaders, they interacted with Muslim League leaders. They did not try to interact with the masses, isn't it? Right. And that caused, breakdown, right, in national discourse in form of partition of India, right? Getting your point, because discourse was not at the mass level but at the class level. Who suffered out of partition? Masses, isn't it? Mass suffered. Mass faced, communal rights, violences, a decision, class, elites ka decision. Getting your point or not? Right. Interaction was only at the level of elites, right? Okay. Post-independence India mein, some factors, right? Even during British period also, some political organizations, right? Like cultural organization, some political cultural organization, you can say, right? Political cultural organization championed, communal discourse in Indian politics, in national movement, right? Championed communal discourse, right? For example, formation of RSS in 1925, yeah, Muslim League, isn't it? They championed, communal discourse, right, in national movement. That also, increased gap between communities and caused, communal divide, communal tension, problem of communalism. Post-independence India, right? After independence, right? Okay. Look, after independence, India adopted constitution, a secular constitution, right? And constitution has directives, right? Constitution directed the government, the state, directive principles of state policies, right? Constitution ensured freedom of practice, profession, propagation, administration of religion for all its citizens, isn't it, belonging to different religions, as well as directed states in their policies, right? They will focus on equal growth and development of all members belonging to different religious communities, different ethnic groups. There were directives after independence, isn't it? Right. Okay. But in due course of time, this was, like under this directive, planning commission was formed, right? Planning commission, right? Many other commissions were formed to ensure, equal growth and development of all communities, right? Under the directive, constitutional directives, right? Now, this was the responsibility of the government, right, to ensure growth and development of all communities, right? But because of their strategic political position, again, the class, right, the higher class, the elite class, isn't it, belonging to different communities, right, belonging to different communities, cornered the benefits of governmental intervention. The benefits, failed to reach at the ground level, right? Masses were not benefited, right? And among mass, the competition for limited resources continued. Benefits were cornered, right? Right? By the elites because of their strategic position in first 2-3 decades after independence. वो तो after total revolution, mass का mobilization started, right? Mass mobilization in 70s after JP का movement, right? आपका पूरा 50s, 60s, 70s में, right? The higher class belonging to higher caste among Hindus, higher classes among Muslims, because of their strategic position, they cornered all the benefits of intervention, right? ऐसा NCERT book में भी लिखा हुआ है, right? मैं NCERT का ही points बोल रहा हूँ आपको, right? Means it is not the blame of the government, it's blame on the class. Classes, cornered the benefits, and among the mass, competition for economic resources continued, in fact increased, right? And economic resources come hai, population continuously increased of both the communities, competition increased, and sometimes that manifested in form of communal conflicts also, right? So this is, one cause, right? When political parties, right, after independence, when planners, in fact, planners failed in regional planning and planning for community development, isn't it? Right. The community development program, which was started after independence in 1952, planners failed in recognizing economic heterogeneity, social heterogeneity among the masses. They considered community as homogeneous group. पूरे community को क्या किया? Homogeneous group समझ लिया under community development program, right? And reality में क्या था? In particular community there were inequalities, differences. एक particular caste में inequalities were there, isn't it? So benefits were cornered by few, not shared by all, and community development programs failed, right? Poverty continued, competition for resources continued, and resource competition में conflict also increased after independence, right? So we also consider, planning failure, right? Pehla factor, a strategic position of the class, the elites from both the communities cornered the benefits, and second, failure of the planners in considering heterogeneity, economic, inequalities, economic, differences, inequalities among the masses, isn't it? They planned, for all, right, which could not benefit to all, right? Community should have been considered, heterogeneous. आज हमने वो किया है ना, change. In today's approach of planning, there are visible change. Today, planning for women, planning for tribes, planning for minorities, right? 15-point program for minorities, right? Tribal sub plans for tribals, right? Women ke liye planning, women empowerment schemes, right? We now consider, heterogeneity, isn't it? But early planners, failed in considering this heterogeneity, isn't it? And that because of that, planning ka effect failed, right? Pauperization, poverty continued, isn't it? Competition for resources continued, and out of competition, conflict among communities, right? Other factor, political parties in the government, in democracy, particularly in our society, there are representative democracy, right? People represented by representatives on behalf of people rule, isn't it? And those representatives belong to different political parties, isn't it? Political party had their agenda after independence, agenda of growth and development, isn't it? They presented their agenda, right? Unka jo political agenda to mobilize the people of growth and development. In due course of time, in electorate politics, the politics which is characterized by elections, regular elections, right? When political parties, failed in fulfilling the aspiration, constitutional aspiration, democratic aspirations of the communities, of the groups in society, right? Through economic growth and development, through inclusive growth and development, right? When they failed in ensuring distribution of resources among all the communities equally, political parties, started using religion for political mobilizations during elections, right? During elections, you will see late 80s May, right? Late 80s May, you will find political parties use, Ram temple, isn't it? Right? Construction of Ram temple, isn't it? And other political parties take help of, minority appeasement, right? So both those in power and those in opposition, when failed in fulfilling aspirations of the people, real aspirations, economic aspirations, educational aspirations, isn't it? Cultural aspirations of the people, of the masses, they used religion for political mobilization, right? Political mobilization during election for political millage. उनको तो benefit हो गया, loss किसका? Masses का, communities का, isn't it? Because communalization of politics had consequences even after elections are over in form of, biased planning, right? Interventions. Getting your point. Road construction होना है, अब politicians को vote मिला community का, क्योंकि उस समय तो community divide कर दिया, तो उस construction में और उसमें obviously he will take care of communities. Getting your point or not? And that, like, political communalization of politics to communalization of planning, communalization of policies, communalization of interventions. मतलब एक बार अगर political mobilization is communalized, तो consequences are visible in other aspects also, right, of society. Communal gov increases, right, every 5 years with communalization of politics, communalization of elections. Getting your point, right? Okay. Other factors. ये समझ में आया? ये point समझ में आया? There are integrated, right? एक बार एनसीईआरटी को जरूर रीड करिएगा, क्लास 9th 10th के एनसीईआरटी में कम्युनलिज्म यू हैव टॉपिक, सोशल साइंस का जो बुक है ना एनसीईआरटी का, उसमें उसको रिपीट जरूर कीजिएगा, ठीक है? ओके. हाँ 11-12 में भी है, 9, 10, 11, 12, राइट? 12 सोसाइटी का बुक 12, राइट? ओके. Other factor, along with all these factors, a state also has failed in consolidating multiculturalism, right? ये NCERT book में भी लिखा हुआ है कि a state also has failed, apart from these economic the factors which we have discussed, apart from these factors, a state also has failed in promoting multiculturalism, right? Or consolidating pluralism in Indian society. right? Look, constitution directs the state, directs the political parties, right? Constitution directs the state, directs the political parties for maintaining equidistance from all religions, right? ऐसा है ना, equidistance from all religion with equirespect of all religions, all religious beliefs, all religious faiths, right? ऐसा है ना, ऐसा directives है ना. Constitution directs the state, directs state holders, political parties, isn't it, political authorities, to maintain equidistance with all religions, from all religions, as well as equirespect for all religion, right? Right, means positive relation with all religion, equirespect, and negative distance, equidistance from all religions, right? What we see on many occasions, state machinery, right, has failed, right, in following the constitutional guidelines. On many occasions, state has failed in following the constitutional guidelines, isn't it? On maintaining, equidistance and for equirespect for all religions, right? For example, demolition of Babri Masjid, isn't it? That is example of failure of state machinery in maintaining pluralism, in maintaining multiculturalism, in protecting religious groups, isn't it, in administration and practice of their religion. And such failures, right, increases communal mobilization in the society, right? स्टेट का जैसे अभी देखिएगा, अभी भी आपके स्टेट के बिहेवियर में ऐसा लगेगा कि स्टेट इज नॉट फॉलोइंग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल गाइडलाइंस. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल गाइडलाइंस आर देयर, ऐसा लॉज एंड एक्ट नहीं बना है, राइट? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल गाइडलाइंस आर देयर एंड स्टेट मशीनरीज, right, you will realize he fails in maintaining, isn't it, fails in following those constitutional guidelines. Getting a point or not, right? जैसे head of the state का participation, head of the state का participation in religious ceremonies and all. If you are participating, then you should participate in religious ceremonies and festivities of all religions, right? You should not discriminate, and if you are not, then you should not, right? जैसे Nehru had adopted a policy not to participate in religious festivals and ceremonies of any religion, right? So he maintained equidistance, he had equirespect, isn't it? But we have seen on many occasions, on many counts, he is head of the state, chief ministers, prime ministers, isn't it, like discriminating against some religion, isn't it, and participating in some other festivities, celebrations of some other religion. That also intensifies, communalism, and that manifests in different form. Communalism also sometimes manifests in form of terrorism, isn't it? Terrorism के form में different forms of manifestation होता है उसका, right? लेकिन you will find कि when state machinery failed in maintaining multiculturalism, pluralism, when pluralism in Indian society, multiculturalism in Indian society is threatened, right, by communal forces, you will find rise of communalism, right? Okay. Apart from other, फेलियर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट मशीनरी इन हैंडलिंग कम्युनल राइट्स, एक ये भी कारण है, मतलब परसिस्टेंस ऑफ कम्युनलिज्म का एक कारण है कि गवर्नमेंट मशीनरी आल्सो टाइम टू टाइम हैज फेल्ड, राइट, इन मेंटेनिंग कम्युनल हार्मनी एंड प्रिवेंटिंग कम्युनल राइट्स और कम्युनल वायलेंसेस, राइट? कम्युनल राइट्स एंड कम्युनल वायलेंसेस, जैसे मुजफ्फरनगर राइटिंग, फॉर व्हाट रीजन आई डोंट नो, राइट? मे बी सम interest of both the state government and, like, Muzaffarnagar rioting was preventable, isn't it? Muzaffarnagar rioting was preventable, but state machinery failed in preventing the riots, right? Riots were not prevented, right? That was preventable because that started with, the tension started with mere case of, eve teasing, right? Eve teasing का case, जो कि दिल्ली में हमेशा होता है, right? लेकिन यहाँ तो rioting नहीं होती, right? तो वहां पे, because यहाँ पे law and order is there, and that is, right, there if teaching का case, then panchayats, right, caste khap panchayats का meetings, right? After 2-3 days, right? Like a state on all those occasions failed, right? After once the rioting started, a state called army. A state would have called army earlier also. The rioting displaced, 50,000 population. 50,000 people were displaced in Muzaffarnagar because of rioting, that communal rioting. A state failed in preventing, and those who were displaced, those who were affected, obviously they have scars, in their mind, right? Right, of communal this displacement because of communalism, right? Communal mobilization. Getting your point, right? So state failures also, right? Cause of existence of communalism. In fact, judicial failures. You will find judiciary fails, right, in punishing the culprits in matters of rioting, communal rioting. आप देख लीजिए अभी भी सिख rioting का, right, 1983 का rioting का case, like culprits are yet to be punished. केवल date पे date, delay पे delay, isn't it? Right. So the people, particularly belonging to minority communities, right, they lost their faith in state machinery, in judicial machinery. Getting your point? And they rely on their communal leaders, their community identity, community assertion, isn't it? Right? Community organizations, when they have no faith in state and judiciary, isn't it? So this is also like this such failures, state machinery ka failure in preventing, right? State machinery and judiciary ka failure in punishing, isn't it, the culprits responsible for communal riots, right? Okay. Formation of political parties and organization. Even after independence, right, we have seen, formation of many political parties and organization on communal line and propagating communalism openly, right, or promoting communal interest openly, right. That also, increases or give rise to communalism in society. In Indian society also we have seen formation of many cultural political organization after independence, right, who openly had propagated for communalism, isn't it? You can name also, क्योंकि NCERT books में भी एक दो का नाम दिया हुआ है, right, otherwise not. इतना लिख देंगे तो समझ में आ जाएगा सामने वाले को, evaluator को, कि many political parties, cultural organizations formed after independence, right, has openly propagated, communalism, isn't it? Okay, but communal tigers are losing the ground, right? Okay. Huh? No, this is not won. They could not win in Maharashtra. Like, वो तो अगर Shiv Sena would have got majority, लेकिन अभी they are lagging, 114 required. They have only 83. They have not got majority, right? That is also like voting or like community का trust, group का trust, or voting is not, index of understanding the support of majority in society. कभी नहीं. By getting mere 23% of vote, a political party can win elections if rest of the vote is divided among different. तो अभी जो सबसे ज्यादा फायदा किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को मिल रहा है, तो that is because of division in opposition का division, right? In Bihar, when opposition was united, clean loss. Opposition was united, तो clean loss in year 14 में opposition was divided 20, I guess 38 out of 40 when opposition was united. So that cannot be considered as index of support of the masses or the people. Very tactfully these days, political parties, right, the political party who has resource, right, they ensure division of votes also. Opposition का vote division of votes in opposition, right. मेरा तो घर है उत्तराखंड में. अभी रिसेंट इलेक्शन में मैंने देखा कि पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, रिच प्रॉस्पेरस पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, right? They tactfully, caused division of votes by financing the dissenters in opposition political parties. जितने dissenters हैं उनको tactfully contest करवा दिया. They don't had resource to contest election, but for what? For division of votes. Division of votes. Votes will be divided, and by getting mere 23%, 30%, the present government enjoys support of 32% of the total voters in India, not population, total voters in India, right? Because of division of votes. तो वो इंडेक्स नहीं हो सकता है, ठीक है? ओके. अच्छा, एक और अदर कारण, अदर फैक्टर, अदर कॉज, misrepresentation of historical facts, also cause of communalism. Misrepresentation of historical facts. For example, communalists represent or blame a particular community for partition of India, right? Majority community will blame minority communities for partition of India, but many among majority communities also, isn't it, were responsible for the partition, isn't it, for promoting communalism, isn't it? There are like misrepresentation of facts, right? Just say misrepresentation of facts. Like you will see different communities, like one community blaming other communities. These communities were baniyas, right? We were fighters, isn't it? Right? So these are also misrepresentations. Say Pakistan mein Hindus are referred as baniyas, isn't it? Traders, Sindhis traders, isn't it? Producers, right? Warriors, isn't it? Right? Muslim producers, warriors, isn't it? So, but there are many many castes from Hindu communities also producers, Vaisyas and all, business, isn't it? So what we see, ki misrepresentation of historical fact is a means for propagation of communalism, right? Many cultural organizations you will find, for example, like RSS and all, right? They will misrepresent the historical fact. Misrepresent in their propagation. You will find misrepresentation, like Indian society as Hindu society, right? Indian society as Hindu society. If we refer to text, right? So this Hinduism is a result of synthesis of non-Aryan and Aryan cultures. Non-Aryan, those who were there, and those who came from outside Aryans, isn't it? And synthesis, some culture diffused from Aryans to non-Aryans, and synthesis. This was a synthesis religion actually. This was not isolated independent religion, but synthetic religion, and this has been the feature of Hinduism till date. As that synthesis, right? Synthesis, and they glorify rigid Hinduism. Rigid. They glorify rigid Hinduism, different from others, but in reality, this is synthetic religion. You will find like Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, isn't it? If this religion would have been rigid, then there would not have been such indigenous proliferations of religion from within the religion, or rise of different sects and cults in the religion, isn't it? So such organizations also like propagates, glorify communalism, isn't it, by misrepresenting the historical facts or the history, right? History of the culture, history of the religions, right? Okay. एक और अभी मॉडर्न सोसाइटी में जो सबसे रिस्पॉन्सिबल और टू बी ब्लेम्ड इज द फैक्टर टू बी ब्लेम्ड फॉर कॉम्युनल मोबिलाइजेशन और कम्युनलिज्म इज निगेटिव और डिसफंक्शनल रोल और यूज ऑफ सोशल मीडिया और मास मीडिया. सोशल मीडिया एंड मास मीडिया, बेसिकली इसको हम सोशियोलॉजिकली बोलते हैं कि mass media has become a means to create hyper realities, right? In modern society, mass media, particularly modern social media, is a means for creating hyper realities in society, right? For example, एक example देता हूं आपको. जैसे मुजफ्फरनगर writing. After that Eve teaching a case and local tension between two families, the tension was between two families, right? In Muzaffarnagar, some leader belonging to some political party uploaded a fake video on social media, Facebook, right? And channelized that among the community members, right, some fake video of beheading, isn't it? This boy from our community has been beheaded by other community men. That was fake video. Later on investigated fake video. Of that fake video, mobilized the community members against other community, right? Beheading ka video used by, I guess, the MLA who was like some MLA, huh? Yes. Right. He had uploaded, right? BJP MLA, he uploaded some fake video, right? And because that video actually, beheading ka video mobilized other. He wrote the comment and mobilized, community men against other members, right? Because the community members mostly, marginally literate, right? Moderately literate, right? Don't had, ability to investigate the reality, whether this is true or false, were mobilized behind, right? They realized that as a fact, that was a hyper real thing, but that was accepted as real, right? Real and mobilized, and that caused, communal violence, which displaced, 50,000 population, right? 50,000 people belonging to a community, right? Still not rehabilitated, right? After that violence, right? So, isme kya hai? Mass media, the propaganda, right? Propaganda spread through mass media, isn't it? Channels of communication, and particularly these days, the modern channels of communication, social channels of communication, right? Like, just say, exodus of Northeast people from Karnataka in year 2014, right? A propaganda spread, right? Through social media, Facebook, isn't it? And people started moving out the city, exodus, mass exodus, isn't it? Right. So such, like hyper reality created by mass media, right? Also these days, threatening to secular, fabric and, causing communalism, increasing communalism in Indian society. Mass media का आप देखते होंगे Facebook पे भी आप देखते होंगे बहुत सारा false, news circulated on Facebook, isn't it? On social channels, and that influences behavior of those people who fails to investigate and understand the reality. That hyper real content, mobilizes the people, mobilizes the masses, right? Hyper.
The Prime Minister himself was following some Twitter accounts of some violent group.
Maybe वो तो Lok Sabha these days don't take it seriously. अभी सबका institutions are now declining actually हमारे society में. This is, the civil service का structure and the bureaucracy का structure कि India is running. Otherwise, these politicians have done great damage to Indian society, right? And we are to blame for because they are our representatives. We cannot blame them. We are to blame for because they are our representatives, right? Okay. कोई आलू की फैक्ट्री लगवाता है और कोई इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को भी कम्युनलाइज करता है, राइट? इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियर आप में से कोई है? इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियर? हाँ, मतलब certainly it's very obvious. दीपावली में और दुर्गा पूजा में, दशहरा में एंड ऑल, राइट? तो मैं खैर वो तो मेरा पॉइंट ये है ना कि अब दैट इज आल्सो द न्यूट्रल थिंग, आई गेस. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी में तो इलेक्ट्रॉन प्रोटॉन होता होगा, अब उसमें क्लाइमोट्रॉन आल्सो आ जाएगा, राइट? आई मीन communaltron also आ जाएगा. That is also being communalized actually. This is simple communalization of, elections. This is example of communalization of elections, right? And if head of the party, head of the government communalizes elections, political process, फिर तो भगवान मालिक है, right? उस society का, right? Okay. Now measures to combat communalism. Measures to combat communalism. अब जितना problems आपने count किया है ना, you have to give suggestions, right? Over those problems, right? जैसे some before I discuss, measures to combat, I will discuss, some case studies also. One case study, like many case studies were conducted after Godhra rioting. After Godhra rioting, many case studies conducted. Yeah, after Bhagalpur rioting in Bihar, between Hindus and Muslim case studies were conducted. And it was found, एक दो study में नहीं, many case studies में, कि economic factors are the more responsible factors for communal violence is communal mobilizations, right? Economic factors like poverty, pauperization, unemployment, deprivation, exclusion from fuller participation in administration, bureaucracy, government, responsible for communal mobilization, communal tensions and communal violences, right, in Indian society. For example, एक सब तो बात नहीं कर सकते, सारा case study. If I explain one case study, Godra writing, right? Asghar Al engineer, many, sociologists, culturalist sociologists conducted a study, and they found ki like in Godra, right, in Gujarat, not only in Godra, in Gujarat, right, Muslims had been, manufacturers. Traditionally, Muslims had been manufacturers, karkhana owners, right, and Hindu traders, right, trading. And look, it's very natural that there are, competition and tension between a trader and a manufacturer, isn't it? Trader and manufacturer for more profit, right? Okay. Post-independence, particularly post-LPG, the trader community, right, being benefited by the government ka, entrepreneurial intervention, institutional financing and all, right, set up their own manufacturing industries, manufacturing units, and discrimination started against minorities, right? And continuous pauperization of minority manufacturers, because now the trading community had manufacturing in their own community or manufactured goods available in their own community, isn't it? Right. So slowly, pauperization, poverty increased among minorities, pauperization increased among minorities. They lost their bargaining capacity, isn't it? In trades, commerce, isn't it? So tension because of, their pauperization, their, economic backwardness, deprivation, economic exclusion, tensions, right? Religion played only a precipitating role. The immediate cause was there in economic inequality, economic backwardness, poverty, pauperization, tension, there because of failure of state machinery for inclusive growth and development. Right? That was tension was there. Religion played precipitating factor, triggering factor, जिसको कहते हैं, triggered violence, isn't it? Triggering factor, right? So Indian society में आप देखेंगे कि in many cases, most of the cases, right, the cause of violence is, poverty, economic exclusion, political exclusion, right? Political communalization of, politics, communalization of food habits, communalization of dress codes, right? These are the factors. Religion is only, a triggering factor or precipitating factor, the last factor to trigger, communal violences or communalism. Getting your point, right? So this, ये भी आप count करिएगा, economic factors more than religious factors. मतलब क्वेश्चन भी ऐसा आया है यूपीएससी में, सेकंड पेपर सोशियोलॉजी में क्वेश्चन था कि cause of communalism in Indian society is more politico-economic in nature than religious. Discuss, right? तो हमारे सोसाइटी में politico-economic है, poverty, backwardness among minorities that proved by such a committee report, and communalization of politics by political parties, isn't it? Right? By cultural organization, communalization of culture, food habits, dress code by communal cultural organization. These are cause of communalism in Indian society, right? Okay. एक और हमेशा ध्यान रखिएगा कि communalism is a modern phenomena. In its original usage, communalism, positive connotation, right? Positive concept. In its modern usage, it has acquired negative connotations, isn't it? In modern Indian society, अगर कभी भी गलती से भी नहीं लिखिएगा कि communalism in ancient ages, communalism in medieval ages, no, right? जैसे अभी मैंने ऐसे पूछा था एक, तो उसमें किसी ने लिख डाला था कि communalism in ancient age, communalism in ancient medieval age, नहीं, communalism in Indian society is a modern phenomena, right? Emerged during British period, isn't it? Right? It's modern phenomena. It was not in ancient ages or medieval ages, right? If communalism would have been there, right? Communal mobilization would have been there. Do you think there would have been, rise and growth of Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism in Indian society, Sufi movement, Bhakti movement in Indian society, right? Or the synthetic, language, Urdu, or the culture, right, would have developed in our society? Certainly not, right? Society was secular in nature. Society had secular outlook. Society has secular outlook, right? Like during Muslim rule also, right, there may be exceptions, right, of use of religion for political mobilization. Exceptions, not examples, right? Exceptions, not examples, right? Otherwise, if Muslim rulers would have been communal in nature, then almost 1,000 years ka rule was sufficient enough to convert each and every Hindu into Muslim, isn't it? Indian society would have been, society had been, secular in their outlook, secular in their orientation, right? Secular outlook is salient feature of Indian society. ध्यान रखिएगा, कभी भी confusion में भी या उसमें नहीं लिखिएगा कि ancient society में communalism और medieval society, right? Communalism in Indian society is a modern phenomena, right, during British period, and its continuance after independence because of the factors which we have discussed, right? Majorly economic and political factors, right? Okay. Now अगर measures to combat, तो जितना आपने problem count किया उसके ऊपर suggestion बात करना है, right? ये printed notes में भी आपको मिल जाएगा, उसके ऊपर please make the suggestions, right? For example, अगर failure of state machinery in handling communal rights, तो उस पे suggestion देंगे, right? Inclusive growth and development, such a committee reports का reference देंगे, should be implemented. In fact, implementation also done by government in 15-point program, in form of 15-point program for minorities, isn't it? Right. Likewise, state machinery should deal strongly with communal cultural and political organizations, isn't it? There may also, you can also suggest for ban on such organizations to maintain, secular fabric, the organizations which, disturb secular fabric, right? Inter-religious marriage, inter-community marriage, right? All suggestion, you can give. ये सब बाकी और दो सजेशन जो पॉइंट्स में है आप गिवन इन प्रिंटेड नोट्स वो देख लीजिएगा, ठीक है? I mean, it's important to understand, causalities of communalism during British period, post-independence, right?